And we are back. Welcome back to everyone's favourite series on the channel. It is time, once again, for the Europa League and Europa Conference League predictions. This time coming at you on a Wednesday because the first game of the round of 16 is actually taking place this afternoon. So before we get into all of those predictions, if you haven't done so already, please do consider dropping a like on this video. And if you are new around here, we do predictions all the time on this channel. So make sure you are subscribed. And thank you for helping me reach 1,700 subscribers off the back of this week's Champions League predictions video. But for now, let's go all things Europa as we jump in to everything first, Europa League, because we start off with the game taking place this afternoon. That game is between Sporting Lisbon of Portugal and Atalanta of Italy. Now, I don't actually think this is a tough one to call. I think some people think this is going to be a little bit closer than what people would have you believe, but I genuinely think that Sporting Lisbon are just better than Atalanta, and that might be a bit of a rogue take because I know that Italian sides do tend to do well in Europe, but I just think Sporting Lisbon are the better side in this one. I'm not going to go crazy and do a massive win in their favour. I'm only going to go for a 2-1 win, which will set it up quite nicely for the second leg. But I just think at home, Sporting Lisbon should be beating a side like Atalanta. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Obviously, that'll be the first game that taking place today. All the remaining games, of course, will be taking place tomorrow. But that's just how I see that one going. From there, we move to all of the fixtures taking place on Thursday. 3 early kickoffs in the Europa League first. And poor old Karabag, they get drawn in a group with Bayer Leverkusen and 2 other really tough teams in the Europa League. They managed to finish runner-up to Bayer Leverkusen, who are one of, if not arguably, the best team in this competition. They then have to face a Champions League team in the bonus playoff round. They see off that Champions League team, and then they draw Bayer Leverkusen again. Poor old Karabakh. Obviously, we all know Bayer Leverkusen haven't lost a game all season long. It was a 5-1 win at home to Leverkusen in the group. It was a 1-0 win away to Leverkusen in the group. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win for tomorrow's game. It's so harsh on Karabag, but it is just the way it is. On to AS Roma and Brighton and Hove Albion. Interesting one, this. 2, like I say, very well-established sides. Now Roma, obviously, with big following across all of Europe. Brighton, relatively new to the scene, but obviously well-known from the Premier League. For me, again, I think this is a game that Roma should be winning. Roma's form, as of late, under Daniele De Rossi, really good. Free-flowing football, scoring goals for fun. Brighton, apart from their 5-0 win against Sheffield United, which doesn't seem like too difficult a task these days, Brighton haven't really been that good recently. So for me, this is a Roma win. I'm going to go for 3-1. The final early game in the Europa League sees Sparta Prague taking on some team from England that apparently are pretty good at this sort of thing. It's Sparta Prague against Liverpool, and I'm going to be a little bit naughty here, and I'm thinking this isn't going to be as easy as people think. Sparta Prague are a very good side. They've just had back-to-back games against their Prague rivals in Slavia, who we'll get to in a moment, coming out on top in a 2-legged cup game. Liverpool, of course, as we all know, all their injury problems, but are still winning matches. And crucially, they are consistently getting clean sheets. And I think that's what's going to be the key one here. I think Liverpool are going to hold on to their clean sheet once again, as they have done in recent matches. And in the end, I'm going to go for a 1-0 win to Liverpool. That then brings us to the other Prague side, which is, of course, Slavia. They travel to Milan to face AC. And as we've just spoken about, Slavia did just lose to Sparta in their recent cup games. AC Milan, not on the best of form at the moment, but the last couple of results have been a little bit more positive. I think we all expect AC Milan to take this one, especially at home. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to them. Next up, it is Benfica taking on Rangers. Rangers losing at home to Motherwell at the weekend. Benfica losing 5-0 to Porto at the weekend. So both sides are going to be looking for a big response in this one. And if you've watched my channel enough, you know I have absolutely no respect for Scottish sides. So you won't be surprised to see me go for a 3-1 win to Benfica. That then takes us to Freiburg and West Ham. Freiburg with a 2-2 draw against Bayern Munich at the weekend, a great result for them. West Ham with back-to-back wins since the return of Lucas Paqueta to the side. For me, a tight game, the sort of game that David Moyes tends to thrive in, the sort of game that West Ham were getting results in last season. I'm going to err on the side of caution a little bit. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think West Ham should still be considered the favourites, even on the night for tomorrow. But ultimately, I think West Ham will progress from the tie. But we'll see what happens in that one. And finally, it's Marseille and Villarreal. Both sides on good runs of form at the moment with massive wins in their last few games. Villarreal with a 3-1 win away and a 5-1 win at home. Marseille with a 4-1 win at home and then a 5-1 win away. So something's going to have to give in this one. I'm just going to go for the bog standard. Two sides are playing well. Let's go for a 2-1 win to the home side. And we'll see what happens in the second leg. That will be it for all of the Europa League predictions. Take a nice long look at them now before they disappear forever as we then move over to the Europa Conference League. Starting off with Ajax and Aston Villa in the first of the early kickoffs there. And it is Ajax, despite all of that drama we had last time out with me saying Ajax should have no issue against Bodo Glimt, then drawing, but then thankfully winning the away leg to restore my pride. This time, I'm going to completely flip reverse it and say that realistically, this should be no problem for Aston Villa. I'm sure Gareth Southgate will be in attendance to watch his beloved Jordan Henderson once again, now captain of Ajax, rather worryingly. But also he'll be having a look at the likes of Ezri Konsa and Ollie Watkins, I'm sure. But I would expect Gareth Southgate to be at this game. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Aston Villa. Next up, it is Molde taking on Club Brugge. Now, Molde are definitely the more informed side going into this one, although the Belgian side on paper are a slightly stronger outfit. Tough one to call. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. That then brings us to Olympiacos taking on Maccabi Tel Aviv. And I don't know, I've just got a really weird feeling about this one. Olympiacos have been free scoring quite a lot recently. Maccabi have a very good record. Both of these sides domestically have been nearly faultless in the last few months. So I don't know. I don't know why, but I've just got this feeling Olympiacos are going to take this one really comfortably. And it might be a very disrespectful scoreline, but I'm going to go for 3-0 to Olympiacos. Again, let me know your thoughts on that one down in the comments. Next up, it's Sturm Graz of Austria taking on Lille. And this is one of those sort of Europa Conference League fixtures that you could sort of see Sturm Graz winning it. On paper, Lille should win this game. Don't get me wrong. But this is exactly the sort of game where a side like Sturm Graz will turn over a more recognisable side like Lille. However, I'm in this one going to go for 2-1. But if Sturm Graz get the result tomorrow night, best believe I'm going to show a lot more respect for them when it comes to next week's second leg. Next up, it is Dinamo Zagreb taking on PAOK. And again, for me, this is a one that really is in favour of Dinamo. Very good side, very strong outfit. PAOK, good on their day, but I don't think they're going to have it against Dinamo. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win for them. Next up, the other Maccabi. This time it is Haifa. They are taking on Fiorentina of Italy. This game being played in Hungary. For me, again, you have to back the Italian side in this one. I think they're just going to be too strong for their counterparts. I'm going to go for 2-1. Again, erring on the side of caution a little bit, but I would expect Fiorentina to get the win. That then brings us on to Servette and Victoria Pilsen, which for some reason I've spelt with an S and not with an A. I will correct that for the second leg. It is now Victorious Pilsen, but obviously it is Victoria. Again, we spoke about Servette a lot in the last couple of weeks, how basically their defensive record is near faultless. Same with Pilsen's. Their defensive record is near faultless. I didn't go for 0-0 in the first leg with Servette last time, and it was 0-0. Then I went for 0-0 the second time, and it was 1-0 to Servette. So I'm going to stick with my trend, and this time I'm going to go for 1-0 to Servette. But it's probably going to be 0-0, or it's going to be a 1-1 draw. Really tight one to call this. If you are someone that's going to be betting on these fixtures, I wouldn't touch this one at all. This is probably the toughest game of the entire lot. And then finally, as I slowly choke, we have Union Saint-Gilloise, top of the Belgian league, taking on Fenerbahce, second in the Turkish league. Now, across these two teams, they have only suffered 3 defeats domestically all season long. Both teams absolutely flying domestically. It's going to be a massive clash between two sides, really full of confidence, high octane, high entertainment, and I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. That will do it for all of the Europa League and Europa Conference League predictions for this week. As always, let me know all of your thoughts down in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching once again. I'll be back on Friday morning with the next round of Premier League predictions, and then we'll get to do it all over again in the Champions League and Europa this time next week. I will see you there.